around all the time. It's the older types, like Hep A, that just seem to keep popping up.
It's an infectious type of hepatitis, and we're always going to see it crop up in little bursts.
Hepatitis A spreads very easily, especially when infected people don't wash their hands properly after going to the toilet. It's also passed through contaminated food, drink and eating utensils.
The teachers have been very precise in the way that they've taught about the whole issue.
If you don't wash your hands, you can get a sick illness. If you don't wash your hands, then like when you touch your food and all that, then you get germs on it.
Jaundice, nausea and a general feeling of being unwell are the usual signs of the virus. But sometimes an infected person can show no symptoms and infect others without knowing. You can be immunised against Hep A, but the protection only lasts a few months. So John Scott says the best way to protect your children is through hygiene education.
We'd really like to see appropriate hygiene measures addressed all year round, because there are lots of other diseases like diarrhoea, the simple sorts of things, gastroenteritis, so that we can look at vomiting bugs that are about, which are passed in the same way.
Mari Patani reporting there, and wash your hands and don't share the food and drink containers. Well, we often see photographs of dramatic bush scenes showing the harshness of our country, images of drought like stricken stock around muddy waterholes, and perhaps the impact is not so great anymore after years of dry weather. But Doug Murray's found a photographer with a difference, a city girl who brings a new perspective to the drama of the bush.
8 hours drive west of Brisbane, drought persists after 6 long years. A 6-year nightmare for city girl Mary Perrottet. She married Tim just as the land around Dirranbandi turned barren. In her previous life, Mary was a Brisbane newspaper photographer, a career she abandoned, or so she thought.
I was too busy pulling sheep out of dry dams and bogged animals, really, to be worrying about taking photographs of it at the time.
The big dry exacted its toll on the family finances. Mary took photos to make a few dollars, putting the images on cards to sell as inexpensive presents.
A lot of my friends didn't have enough money to buy a piece of artwork, but they could afford to buy a card, so I felt that there was a niche in a market for that.
At first, she captured traditional scenes, shearing time, landscapes, the dry dam. She was searching for inspiration where others saw hopelessness.
There must be a way to show, through art, my life on the land.
Show me a better way to see this land.
Gradually, something strange started to emerge, a softness, and it coincided with the inclusion of children. Mary had stumbled onto something fresh and new. Soon her works were being noticed in the big smoke. The lady was an artist in demand. The kids, minor stars from all those appearances. Instead of pulling sheep out of the bog, she makes regular trips to Brisbane to the Queensland Arts Council Gallery. Her first exhibition, a 21-print collection called Bush Babies, attracted huge interest by revealing the indomitable spirit of the bush.
Their endurance and their ability to cope, as well as it shows the natural innocence of children.
A series of images, all snapped at the same location, provides a time lapse.
We're ecstatically happy we're having our first baby. It's dry, but we're expecting rain any minute. 2 years down the track, we've had our first baby, he's a year old, still waiting for rain, and at that stage things were looking pretty grim for us.
Despite the situation, Mary continues looking for the positive side. She took to adding soft pastels to soften the images, as in real life they turned grimmer.
Early this year, and 6 years of drought now, and we've got 2 children now, and they're still waiting to see the big wet.
The same spot today is still barren, despite drought-breaking rains over much of Queensland. The children have never seen heavy rain, but that optimism persists, and Mary is waiting for the day when she can finish the series with a background of lush green.
Mary Perrottet there, and a unique look at Queensland. You're with Extra. Still to come tonight, we continue our series on cheap day trips around Brisbane with a guide to soaking up the natural beauty of our Bay of Islands. And after the break, alternative remedies for spring allergies. herbs and foods that can help you beat the sneezes.
Hello, Bruce Page. In National 9 News, CJC bombshell. Police corruption back in Queensland. The woman who claims her boss demanded she jump naked from a birthday cake. An Ipswich family's second fire tragedy in a month, the Aussie Fashion Awards.
And on a current affair.
They're soon to be Brisbane's sporting elite, but they're ugly Aussies abroad, terrorising other tourists. Plus, too young to be married, the church says go, but the court says no.
Queensland's leading hour, National 9 News and a current affair, tonight from 6.
At 40 Winks, we have no more room on the floor. We must move $4 million worth of stock in our giant annual clearance sale. We must make space for new lines arriving soon. 40 Winks' $4 million annual clearance sale is on now. Save big money on iron beds, on sofa beds, on inner springs, on bedroom suites. And you need pay nothing until 1997. Hurry, 40 Winks annual clearance sale must end soon.
We've solvered things from Gundagai, Solvered Perth and Pinaroo. We're out to paint Australia with the paint that's real true blue. So crack a can of Solver. Make sure the word is spread. We won't just paint Australia, we'll solver it instead.
It's my party with some great red wine. And we're shaking all over. At the Ridge Restaurant on the roof in Spring Hill. Dine and dance to live music. Special party menus arranged. Now also BYO.
She said yes.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You okay?
Yes.
If it means as much to you now as it did then when it's time to renew your contents insurance, call 13 11 55 and get insurance that's more for you.
7:30 Friday, Burke's goes live.
Right, what's wrong with the other one?
We road test the Waimorama.
The great ghost of the dog world.
Jeff shows us how to make perfect pork crackling and we'll give away 2 fabulous vehicles all on a special live Burke's Backyard 7:30 Friday.
Another great day around southeast Queensland. Spring is well and truly in the air, but so are the pollens. It's the time for allergies and they're causing many of us a lot of grief. But you needn't despair. Nature, the culprit, can also be the cure. Anna McMahon's been looking at how herbs and diet can put an end to the sneezes and wheezes.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees.
The birds and bees are buzzing. Spring has sprung, but so have the allergies.
You can tell when spring's here because you can't stop wheezing and sneezing.
1 in 8 adults has asthma, and Louisa Rao is one of them. Not only that, she also has sinus. So while a stroll through the park is usually a soothing experience, for Louisa it can be hell.
Yeah, even coming up and sniffing a flower like this could actually trigger off my sinuses.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the
Springtime is busy time for naturopath Tracy Seipel. You can blame allergies for all the extra work.
We find especially the 3 worst type of allergies we're getting at this time of the year would be sinusitis, hay fever and asthma.
It's me, Tracy.
Come spring, and it's not surprising Louisa spends a fair bit of time in these rooms.
So Louisa, how have you been? How's your asthma going?
Better than I expected.
Today Louisa's asthma and sinuses are both playing up.
Tired. Tightness probably around under my eyes. My eyes always feel watery and just generally have a headache.
A real problem. But there are things you can do, and they all come from nature.
I'm just going to do a few tests on you and measure your breathing, Louisa, so we'll just come around.
Put simply, these alternative treatments involve building up a patient's lungs, also reducing sensitivity to pollens through herbs and changes in diet.
Now, with the diet, the aim is to avoid foods that are allergenic.
For her asthma, Louisa is told to eat foods rich in vitamin A like carrot juice. She's also prescribed herbs.
And take them 3 times a day just to strengthen your lungs and have an anti-allergic effect. Okay.
For her sinusitis, Louise is also told to inhale herbs like eucalyptus and tea tree oil. It is a lot, but it does the trick.
I mean, you feel fantastic after a week. You don't wheeze and you actually feel like it's making a difference.
Back home, Louisa puts her treatment into practice.
Breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Herbs are taken religiously, and so too is the daily inhalation for her sinus. Now, does all of this work?
I think so. I think I'd much rather live with doing all this than without it.
Well, it all sounds very positive, and certainly in the case of Louisa, all these potions and treatments are a great help. But can they help everyone? Well, according to Tracy, they can. Take, for example, our senior citizens.
Yes, interestingly enough, elderly people respond very well to herbal remedies. And
the same too with kids.
Yes, everybody should get some response. Some people obviously better than others, but definitely improvement.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the...
So now, like most of us, for Louisa, a walk in the park is nothing to be avoided. She too can sit back and smell the flowers.
Anna McMahon reporting there. We'll take a quick break on Extra, then making a day of it on the bay. A simple guide to getting the whole family outdoors these school holidays.
Hello, in the news shortly, CJC Chairman Frank Clare has caused an uproar with claims of high-level police corruption in Queensland. Police and the Premier are demanding proof. Tragedy for an Ipswich family. For the second time in a month, their homes burnt down. Claims tonight some car air conditioners could explode if incorrectly filled, but there's two sides to that story. And we'll hear from a woman who says she was sacked for being pregnant. She also says her boss once asked her to jump out of a birthday cake naked. See you shortly.
Bega Super Slim cheese slices are so low in fat, even our abs are slimmer. Bega Super Slim, the slimmest cheese that's big on taste.
From next July, everyone in Brisbane will only pay for the water they use, just as they do for electricity and the telephone. And that may help some people treat a precious resource with more respect. You see, today, most people pay a charge based on their property valuation, which isn't very fair because someone who uses a little water can pay the same or even more than someone who uses a lot. Water meters, the fair way to pay.
And your breakfast, young man?
Kellogg's cornflakes, thanks, Gran.
Crunchy, golden flakes of corn, drenched in ice-cold milk. Oh. I'm sorry, dear, we're right out. Abducted by aliens, they were. A gang of koalas broke in and robbed me.
Kellogg's cornflakes.
It's the taste that made me do it.
Many things have changed over the years. Woolworths have changed too, but not our friendly service, quality brands, and good old-fashioned bargains.
1.5 litre Dynamo, $4.99. 1.25 litre Schweppes, 99 cents. Tip-top Sunblest bread, $1.47. Old English-style beef sausages, $1.99 a kilo. And 2.5 kilo washed potatoes, $1.49.
And there's one other thing that'll never change, our freshness.
Australia's Woolworths, the fresh food people.
Hyundai's Great Excel sale continues. The roomy and powerful XL 5-door with power steering, just $17,990 drive away.
With Hyundai's 3-year, 100,000-kilometre warranty.
So don't miss Hyundai's Acceleration.
We've got your style at Apollo Furnishings. We've got the range and variety. We've got the best at Apollo Furnishings. You'll get more choice and real quality at Apollo Furnishes. Your fun will style from bedroom to lounge. We'll make it worthwhile. We've got your style at Apollo Furnishes.
Apollo Furnishes. We've got your style.
Tonight,
I don't think I'm going to win this.
they ask the questions for years.
Where are the answers? That's the question.
Philip Brady, Debbie Newsome, Andrew Harwood and Ugly Dave Gray.
I've got all the answers. It's easy.
Who will triumph in Sale of the Century's 40 years of television tonight on 9?
Tonight on Extra, we continue our special day trip series with a look at our beautiful Moreton Bay. If you haven't got a boat, don't worry, the bay is more accessible than you might think. Tracy Pollock's been exploring our marine park and has plenty of suggestions.
Somewhere beyond the sea.
For city slickers without a boat, Moreton Bay may well be the Dead Sea.
their chances of getting on it are just as remote. But enjoying the bay from the shore has become a great family outing, thanks to work by local councils. Wellington Point, Raby Bay, Cleveland and Victoria Points all have upgraded picnic areas, so you don't even have to leave the shore.
If I could fly like birds on high.
At low tide, you can actually walk from Wellington Point here to King Island. Now, it's a conservation park on a sand spit, so although you might get stuck when the water comes in, you won't actually get covered. And it was once much bigger. In fact, it's one of 4 islands first charted by Matthew Flinders when he came through.
It may be smaller today, but Marine Park Senior Conservation Officer Alex Millwood says it allows families to see a lot of island vegetation without having to travel too far.
If they look closely in the sediment, they'll see lots of marine worms. A very common one there is called Phyllodoce. In terms of corals, Wellington Point is more of a rocky shore. The corals that you'll find in the bay, perhaps you'd travel to somewhere like here, Bird Island, or particularly Peel Island. Peel Island's got some fabulous corals to snorkel around on the southwestern edge.
Peel Island. It doesn't take much to elicit a confession from National Parks Ranger Tim Moore about this place.
Well, paradise really doesn't get much better than this, Tracy. We're sitting on Peel Island, and of course we're looking at the wonderful Horseshoe Bay. And the beach here is known as Horseshoe Beach, but on a day like this, it's very similar to Whitehaven Beach in the Whitsunday. So as Moreton Bay goes, this is my jewel. This is actually one of the better places to come.
Beautiful, you say, wonderful spot, love to go there, but I haven't got a boat.
The bay is very accessible, more accessible than most people think. There are many commercial tour operators that will drop you off at places and return. And we're not talking a lot of money. Maybe under the $10 mark for a return trip is quite feasible. And some of those smaller islands that the ferries run across in the smaller water taxis, I mean, you're talking $5 return to places like Coochie, Mudlow and those little places. They're only about 2 kilometres offshore. Places further afield like here, I mean, get together with a group of people and just ring one of those commercial operators and suggest, I've got a group of 6 to 10 people that might like to come over for half a day. Can you run us across? And you'll find most of those people will oblige.
In 1993, Moreton Bay was declared a marine park. That doesn't mean you can't fish, but it does mean there's a plan now to make sure generations to come have a chance to see waters as pristine as they are today.
The object of a marine park is to preserve the ecological, cultural and significant amenity values of an area. The way that a marine park is managed is to put a zoning plan in place, which is like a town plan over water.
Alex says as long as we are aware of the damage anchors and speeding boats through turtle and dugong breeding grounds can cause, the more people who use the bay, the better. Because that way we can appreciate its beauty, its role in our ecology, and are more inclined to protect it.
Moreton Bay's got magnificent scenery. We've got some of the most interesting corals in Australia. We've got the interface between the northern tropical species and also the more southern temperate species, and Moreton Bay's got a very unusual collection of coral species.
Bayside buses run to Victoria Point from the city, and it takes an hour and 15 minutes. Trains are tricky. There's a 20 to 30 minute walk from the Wellington Point station to the reserve, and a good walk from the Cleveland station to the ferry terminal. In your own car, allow 40 minutes driving from the city. If you like to check out other suburbs, water taxis to Coochie or Macleay Island leave from Cleveland and Wellington Point.
What you'll find is that these places aren't as remote as in the past we believed them to be.
Getting on the bay, a great way to spend a day. Well, tomorrow Tracy continues her series on cheap day trips with a great place to have a picnic lunch and go back in time at the Beenleigh Historical Village. Stay with us on Extra. Next up, we put low-fat foods to the test to see which ones really taste the best.
Coming up next, the woman who says her boss asked her to jump out of a birthday cake naked.
Police slam CJC claims that corruption is back big time. Footballers accused of ruining a Bali holiday.
And a long-lost movie finally found.
That's next.
Dad is still alive, and if you think I'm just gonna leave him, you're wrong.
Castle Rock Entertainment presents the extraordinary story of a friendship born in the wild and a journey into the heart of adventure.
Never give up. Never.
Alaska.
It's no good giving the performance of a lifetime one night, then ruining it all the next. It's all about performance, which is why I'm with MLC. Their investment approach really works. They've given competitive returns year after year. You either have it or you don't. For my money, MLC's a hard act to follow. So, if money matters, talk to MLC.
This is Neb Hassam of Hassam's Floors, and for more than 30 years, Neb's personally imported quality rugs and runners from all around the world, like these from Belgium, and these from China, and these from Istanbul. At Hassam's Floors, there's literally thousands of rugs and runners to choose from, and Hassam's Floors offer only genuine low prices on everything they sell. Don't be fooled by the fly-by-nights. See Hassam's Floors on the corner of Gympie and Stafford Roads, Kedron, and pay the right price every time. Hassam's Floors.
Harvey Norman is the homemaker with everything to make your house and garden more homely. Hurry in for super special prices on these hardware products. The Victor 4-stroke Vantage lawnmower with an exclusive 5-year warranty, $399. The Victor Trico 2.45 by 1.54 metre Colorbond garden shed, a low $279. This Karcher high-pressure cleaner is great for cleaning everything from the car to oil-stained driveways, just $289 with a bonus brush attachment valued at $26. All this and more available from the homemaker.
Harvey Norman.
The ugly Aussies abroad, our so-called elite sportsmen running amok.
One player was absolutely intoxicated. He urinated 3 times in the restaurant.
Terrorising tourists and wrecking other people's holidays.
I had the other girl crying. She was in tears. They're calling it, like, fat warriors.
Plus is 16, too young to be married. Her parents and the church gave their blessing, but a magistrate said no.
If I was pregnant or if we were living together, then he would have said yes.
What do you think?
For many people, the words diet and low fat on food labels spell low flavour. But the experts disagree, saying healthy eating can be a tasty experience. Amanda Patterson went to lunch with 5 Weight Watchers to test their taste buds.
Judy Van Manen was 23 kilos overweight, but now she's 4 dress sizes smaller and a lot happier. Joyce Park used to weigh in at 78 kilograms, but look at her now. Even Gloria Perkins, Kieran's mum, had a 23 kg battle with the bulge. She fought it and won. In fact, everyone here is a Weight Watcher. They say low-fat foods are delicious. You just have to buy the right ones. Taste test number 1, low-cal drinks.
Very bland, I thought, and it didn't leave a very nice taste in your mouth at the end of it. So.
The difference in the 5 brands was amazing.
I think it's very tangy, very nice for summer. Put some ice cubes in, great, very good. Lovely sweet taste.
The winning vote was unanimous. Number 1, Diet Lift, with Golden Circle Diet Orange coming in a close second. Next food under the microscope, low-fat cheese. This time, our Weight Watchers didn't know which brand they were eating.
Number 3. It was awful. It was dry, it was horrible, just horrible, like chalk.
They tried 5 all up, and the majority agreed.
Number 2. Number 2 was the nicest.
To their surprise, number 2 was Woolworth's home brand, and Kraft Light was voted the best individually wrapped cheese they'd tasted. Well, anyone who's ever watched their weight knows a good salad dressing is vital. Again, our Weight Watchers weren't aware of brand names, but they all knew which one they didn't like.
The one I liked least was the third one that we had. I thought that it had absolutely no flavour and no anything going for it, to be honest.
I hated number 3. Thought it represented water.
It seems salad dressings are either very good or very bad. Everyone agreed on the winner as well.
Number 4 was fantastic. It had a really mustardy, creamy taste, a slight peppery bite to it as well.
That was Cross and Blackwell's waistline, with the wooden spoon going to Kraft's light French dressing. Tasty low-fat yoghurt is also hard to find, but our fearless foodies were determined. But there was only one winner here.
Danone Diet Light.
Opinions differed after that, but Paul's Trim was second favourite.
You can fill your whole trolley with healthy foods. They can be low fat. We obviously need some fat in our daily intake, but there are lots of products out there that are just as tasty as any other, but can have much less fat.
Terence says there's a low-fat alternative to everything.
Why not try these non-stick cooking sprays? They fry just as well as any other form of oil, but you use so much less and it doesn't leave your meal dripping with excess fat. Healthy eating doesn't mean you have to give up all your treats. A lot of people aren't aware that you can get low-fat ice cream, which is just as tasty.
But beware of packaging. Some products want you to think they're low in fat.
A lot of products call themselves light, but they'll often refer to the flavour or the ingredients, not necessarily the fat content. These chips call themselves light, they're referring to the salt.
And often something you think is good for you really isn't.
These sports drinks have a very high kilojoule count. They're loaded with sugar, and unless you're doing a lot of physical activity, you'd be better off with just plain water or perhaps a diet soft drink. 2-minute noodles are a wonderful invention. Everyone loves them, but they're very, very high in fat. The trick is to check the ingredients list. This one only has rice and water in it.
The Tick of the Heart Foundation and the product's nutritional label are the best guides. But if the item doesn't have either, check the ingredients. If fat's in the first 3 listed, put the food back on the shelf. No one said low-fat shopping was easy, but the products are there if you take the time to look.
The first time you go looking for low-fat foods may take you a little longer, but once you're familiar with the brands, it doesn't take long at all.
Amanda Patterson there and dieting with taste. Well, now to tomorrow on Extra, keeping your mind young and active. Vilma Ward looks at simple games and exercises to help beat the ageing process. And we meet Dreamworld's cutest new attractions, 2 tiny cougar cubs, which have just joined the park nursery. That's tomorrow, and if you want more information on our stories tonight, don't forget the free Extra info line, 1800 816 999. National 9 News is next up. Until tomorrow, from everyone here at Extra, have a good night.
With Bruce Page and Heather Ford, this is National 9 News.
CJC drops a bombshell. It says police corruption's back in Queensland.
Pregnant Ipswich woman claims bizarre sexual demands by her boss.
Family's fire tragedy burnt out twice in a month. Good evening. New claims of corruption have been levelled at the Queensland Police. Chairman of the CJC